creating the foundation was really the first step of making the journey I was in meaningful, with purpose and with direction and focus. But I couldn't run marathons every month. It would just be impossible. Plus, I had to take care of my own needs financially, because I did all of that to raise money for those causes, and I didn't take a penny. And so for 2 years, I was sort of living off my savings. And then the global financial crisis was happening in the background while all that was going on. And so, savings rates were plummeting and my income was drying up. And I thought, oh my God, in a while, I'm going to need some money. So I thought, how can I bring myself as the new version of me from after all of this back into the business world? I don't want to be the old Ray, the business leader, but I have a lot of business knowledge and experience and an appetite for helping people based on what I've learned from this journey in the first 5 years. So I really can see myself being valuable to people in the business world. So I sat down one day, and you're going to laugh. This is so ridiculous, but it's true. This is really true. I thought, what do I really, really want? What am I looking for? Okay. I thought, I want to do business coaching of business leaders in Asia. I want to work about 20 hours a month initially, because I've got other charitable things to do. And I want to be able to do it from home. And this was in 2010, before virtual work was a thing. No one was doing anything virtually. It was all face to face. I thought, I don't want to travel to work face to face, especially one-to-one coaching, for 2 reasons. One is it's expensive for a 1 hour session to fly somewhere. And 2, it means buying lots of suits and ties and shirts that I don't want.
Well, they wouldn't fit in your backpack anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, so that's what I'm looking for. I said, that's impossible. No one is going to have an opportunity like that. But let's see. So I went onto LinkedIn, and I fired off a message to a couple of coaches who were based in Asia and said, I'm new here. I'm looking for this part-time freelance coaching opportunity. Who should I talk to? And they came back and said, there's only one person you need to contact. His name's Warrapak. Get in touch with him. And so I did. And he said, are you coming to Bangkok? And luckily I was, about a week later. He said, come and see me. And I did. And I told him my background and what I was doing and what I was looking for. He said, okay, I can think of 2 or 3 people I can connect you with I think are going to be useful. Send me a profile. Do you have one? I said, yeah, of course. But I didn't. I made one up in the airport, as I left, sent him it. And the next day I got a call, or 2 days after, I got a call from a woman in Singapore saying, my name's Danielle. I've been told about you from Warrapak. I've seen your profile. She said, we're a new coaching outfit that's just launching in Singapore. We got tons of clients, but we don't have enough qualified and seasoned coaches. And we know you're not available more than 20 hours a month, but we desperately want those 20 hours a month. Can you, and I said, one thing, Ray, we're not sure if you'll like this, Ray, but we're not going to do face-to-face coaching. We're only going to do virtual coaching. I said, you're kidding me. I couldn't believe it, Regina. The universe gave me exactly the spec.
I hope you're enjoying this video, because if you are, there are dozens more like it on my site, all supported by people like you. So if you'd like to keep this work rolling in and join our community, just click on the Patreon button at reginameredith.com. That also gives you access to insider commentary, my live book club, and other live events with special guests. So join in. Thanks. By this time, though, you had started listening.
Yeah.
You made it your decision that you were going to start living more through your feelings than where your head was taking you. And
Correct.
For a guy who'd been, by this time, when you're still in London, you were necessarily quite in your head. This was a bit of a switch to have to start trusting these nebulous things called feelings to guide you, which you've done splendidly by. What was that turning point for you where you learned that you could rely on your instincts and your feelings?
Yeah, it was not one moment. It was a gradual process, but some of the key things that helped me transform that in myself was when my relationship with Annie ended, which it eventually did after a couple of years. I saw that I was very impenetrable emotionally. I was she gave me a book called Undefended Love. And when I read it, I thought, I was so uncomfortable reading it, because I thought, the guy that they're describing in this book, and he's armored up and he can't just take any criticism, can't act on any feedback, is never listening properly. I thought, that's me. So I was technically a good business leader and all those things, but emotionally, I was not the man I really knew I could be or wanted to be. And that book and the experience with Annie really drove that home. And so you might remember that I actually then signed up for a workshop that the authors of that book did in San Francisco and came over for a couple of days and did their workshop. And that was a massive turning point.
Yeah.
And then they recommended I also did another program called the Hoffman process, because they knew that helped people really dig into that part of their life and remove unwanted negative patterns of behavior if they did certain things. And so I did that program in England about a year later, and it just was a massive release for me. You know, I understood why I was acting the way I did, because it went right back to my childhood. And I didn't really understand how those patterns got embedded when I was much younger. It all happens when you're young, it's all unconscious, and you need something to help you bring it to your consciousness.
But most people don't take the time for that discovery, but you did.
Yeah,
so
I did.
As this journey goes on, because I'm not going to give away the whole book, you know, we've talked about a few fun points here, but you did all kinds of feats that everyone would put on their bucket list, you know.
Yeah.
You did the big ones, and then you were left with, okay, I've done all that. Okay, I've raised my funding for people. And you decided to go ahead and document what the journey was like. And I have to say, I had read your blogs, but you're a really good writer. So I thought you did a beautiful job articulating a lot of emotion and a lot of the conflict of emotion that normally men have a hard time kind of getting themselves around. I think you really did a beautiful job explaining the internal journey that you went through to give your old life up and start a new Ray.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. I mean, that was my challenge as a new writer. I mean, I've never written a book before. And I had some great editors I worked with who coached me on, helped me improve how I was writing as well, and sort of tap into the emotional parts of the story. And that, I think that's the challenge with life, isn't it? You know, how much we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and share transparently that vulnerability with others, which creates trust, connection, safety, openness. It's beautiful, you know, but I wasn't in the habit of doing that. So
most people aren't in the habit of doing it. And what you just said really is the journey. You took a dive into the unknown and allowed yourself to be vulnerable in every respect. And people are so terrified of being vulnerable, so terrified of not knowing, of being made a fool of having something fail, all of which you did and I've done and we've all done. And what we forget is when we're reading books and we're watching films and such, we fall in love with the characters in their moments of vulnerability, yet we reject those moments in our own selves.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't want someone to see us as weak or uncertain, you know. And you did that, Ray. You really did. You did it in life. You did it with money. You did it with stature. You allowed yourself to be stripped bare in all of those ways. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you might also want to consider joining Patreon, which allows me to keep all of this content free and available to everyone. And if you're looking for like-minded souls, you might also enjoy my online community called Our Neighborhood. Links to join are in the description.